What can a girl with no home, no money, and no family possibly give? More than you could ever imagine. This is her story in the heart of the city, where glass towers kissed the sky and shadows hid broken lives. There was a girl named Lila. She was only 17, yet life had already tested her beyond measure. Her parents had died in an accident when she was just a child. The little savings they had vanished quickly, and Lila was left alone. With no relatives to take her in, the streets became her home. Every night, she curled up beneath a worn blanket, listening to the roar of traffic above and the whispers of hunger inside her. People passed her every day. Some looked at her with pity. Most ignored her, as if she was invisible. But Lila never let the darkness consume her heart. She sang softly to herself, whispered prayers into the wind, and promised that one day, she would rise again. One bitterly cold evening, as the city lights flickered on, Lila noticed a man collapsed near the edge of the road. His expensive suit was torn, his breathing shallow. At first glance, he looked like just another drunk rich man who had lost his way. Most people walked past him. Some shook their heads and muttered, "Another one ruined by money." But Lila couldn't ignore him. Her heart pounded as she knelt beside him. His skin was pale, his lips dry, and his eyes barely opened. He whispered something she couldn't understand. Without hesitation, she tore the only scarf she owned and pressed it against a wound on his head. She begged passing cars for help, but no one stopped. Finally, she dragged him with all her strength to a small shelter nearby, where volunteers quickly called an ambulance. Lila never even asked his name. She only held his hand and whispered, "Stay alive, please. The world needs you." Hours later, the man was rushed into surgery. Lila didn't wait for thanks. She slipped away quietly into the night, returning to her corner under the bridge. What Lila didn't know, was that the man she saved was Daniel Cole, one of the city's wealthiest billionaires. Owner of global companies, a man known by headlines, yet in that moment, reduced to a fragile soul whose life rested in the hands of a homeless girl. Days later, when Daniel woke in the hospital, the first question he asked was, "Where is the girl?" "The girl who saved me." The volunteers told him about Lila. About the young girl who refused to leave his side until the ambulance came. Daniel was stunned. In a world where money often bought care, here was someone who had nothing, yet gave everything. He sent his people to find her. For days, they searched under bridges, at shelters, on cold street corners. And then, finally, one evening, they found her sitting near a fire barrel, sharing half of her bread with another homeless child. Daniel, still weak from recovery, stepped out of a black car and approached her. Lila looked up, shocked to see the man alive. You survived," she whispered. Daniel smiled softly. "Because of you." From that moment, everything changed. Daniel took her in. He gave her food, shelter, and more than that, he gave her the chance to dream again. But instead of treating her like a charity case, he asked her, "What do you want to do with your life?" With tears in her eyes, Lila said, "I just want to go to school. I just want a chance." And so, Daniel did more than just send her to school. He sponsored her education, gave her a home, and even helped other homeless children she once lived with. Months turned into years. Lila blossomed into a bright, confident young woman. She studied hard, always remembering the night she chose kindness over indifference. Daniel often said, "You saved me with a scarf and courage. I can only hope to save you with opportunity." And so, the story spread across the city. Not just of a billionaire and a girl, but of how a homeless child's kindness changed a man's heart forever. Because sometimes, the richest people are not the ones with the most money, but the ones with the biggest hearts.